the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and today I've got Kevin Wilson here with me.
Howdy.
How's it going?
Good. Yeah, we're in the actual studios. Haven't been here before, so
Yeah. It's certainly a work in progress. We're making things happen here, and yeah, so we're together in the Liberty Studio, I guess is what we're calling it.
Yeah.
And Bob is still on the mend. He's not feeling well. So Bob, if you're listening, we hope you feel better. We can't wait to have you back with us again on the show. Before we kick the show off, it sounds like there's some rumors we should be talking about.
Absolutely. And since it's Fake News Friday, it's a good day for rumors.
I think so. So the rumor is that there is going to be a libertarian presidential primary here in New York State. And it's Fake News Friday. We're not going to skip to the fake news part yet, but it's possibly true.
It is possibly true. So it's not quite fake news, but what we do have is we have several candidates who have filed to be in the Libertarian Party presidential primary on April 28th, so it takes place the same day as the other primaries, and they filed based on national recognition. So basically, the Board of Elections could determine that they are nationally recognized candidates and therefore should be allowed on the ballot without petitioning. Ken Armstrong, who was interviewed on this show, was able to submit the required petitions to be able to get on the ballot in New York. But other candidates who have filed based on national recognition include Vermin Supreme, Dan Berman, Dan Taxationist Theft Berman, who is also on the show in the past, Sam Robb, who you interviewed Sam Robb, right?
I did, yes.
Yep. Adam Kokesh, who was also on the show, Lincoln Chafee, who has not been on yet. We'll have to get him on, the former governor and senator, and then Jacob Hornberger, who was on this show.
On here. Yeah. So we're missing Vermin Supreme and we're missing Lincoln Chafee. So we'll have to get them on the show in the next couple of weeks. We'll do some interviews. If Board of Elections accepts this, we're gonna maybe try to set up a debate here in Rochester.
Yeah, no. If you think that's a good idea, comment in. If you think you'd watch that, Andrew and I will put in the work to set that up and see if we get something together.
Yeah, it's maybe at a local college or a local school or something like that. We'll see if we can make it happen.
I feel like we need something, before the first ever Libertarian primary in New York, if indeed this goes through.
Yeah, and actually, many of those candidates did already come to New York for a debate a couple months back. So there's been one debate already. Possibly, maybe we can get another one going in the future. But we figured we'd talk about that because it's big news. People are definitely reaching out. They're really excited about it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's kind of in Board of Elections' hands at this point.
Yeah, a little bit. So I guess we find out March 4th is when the Board of Elections makes their decisions. And before anyone asks, no, I have no idea what their criteria is. It kind of feels subjective to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if they're going to be like, yeah, Vermin Supreme's in because he got covered by Teen Vogue or,
Sure.
or it's based on polls or previous debates or whatever it may be. We're going to see, I guess.
Yeah. Actually, this brings up a question that has been asked to me multiple times, and I've seen it on a few of my Facebook pages, a couple of the Facebook groups, and that is, how do you vote in this primary if it happens? The answer is you have to be registered libertarian, and you would have had to switch your voter registration, I think, by the 14th.
February 14th.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So if you are enrolled libertarian in New York State, you change your voter registration, and you can check this at the New York State Board of Elections website too. You just type in your name and your birthday and whatnot, and they'll check to see what your party enrollment is. If you think you have enrolled libertarian and the Board of Elections has not acknowledged this, please contact one of your local affiliates or your state libertarian party. Some boards of elections don't quite get it right, and we I know the state party's really anxious about fixing that.
Yeah, yeah, it would not be the first time.
Yeah.
There's been many instances where people's voter registrations were not updated, or interesting situation I had. Um, the local board of elections had me registered as one thing, and the state board of elections had me registered as another. Um,
Were you
which
registered as a liberal?
No, I was other for
Other.
one and libertarian for the other. So
Yeah.
they ultimately fixed it, but I wouldn't have even known that was a thing. So yeah, so it could even
Yeah.
be inconsistent in the state records versus your county records.
Yeah, just I mentioned the liberal thing because some counties put in LIB
Yep.
as the abbreviation instead of LBT.
Yeah.
And so LIB is a designation for the long defunct Liberal Party, and we are
Which
not.
is not that.
No,
Or-
we are not the Liberal Party. We are the Libertarian Party, and or so in that case, like again, check your records because you might be registered as either other or blank. If you want to vote in the primary, and I don't think the Republicans are having a primary in New York. I don't know if
I don't know.
Bill Weld ever
Bill
got
Weld,
his.
yeah, I'm not sure. We should reach out to him and have him on the show too.
Yeah, who knows Bill Weld? Tell Bill Weld to talk to us.
Yep, absolutely. Should reach out to him. But that also brings up another thing that's really important to mention on today's show, which is it is petitioning season.
Yes,
And it
sure
started a couple
is.
days ago. And for those of you who maybe aren't familiar with the petitioning process, I'll give you guys just a little bit of background. The way candidates get on the ballot most of the time, and I'll preface that with most of the time, there's some exceptions for special elections and some other little things that can happen along the way, is you need to gather petitions based on voter enrollment in your district to get your name on the ballot. So if you're a libertarian, a Republican, a conservative, Democrat, Green Party, Working Families Party, Independence Party, did I miss any parties? I don't think I missed any. Any of
Got the
those,
important ones.
you may have candidates that you want to see on the ballot. Maybe you're tired of the status quo. I know I am. You should reach out to your party and ask if there's petitions that you can sign to help get your candidates on the ballot. You might wonder why am I telling everybody this? I think competition's good. I think the more people running, the better. Maybe you're a Democrat listening to the show and you say, "Hey, my guy already won," but maybe you really don't like your guy. You probably like the Libertarians the best, to be honest. Uh, but maybe you primary them. Maybe you find somebody in your party. Maybe it's an unopposed seat. This goes the same for Republicans, conservatives, anywhere else. Run somebody against them that does align with your values. You can do that by simply passing a petition and getting it in by the deadline. As long as you meet the requirements and the person
Yes.
accepts the nomination.
Which is usually either 5% of the enrolled voters in a district, or there's caps on different offices.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like it could be like 5% or 1,500 or something like that. It might be even like less than that. Some of the caps might be smaller. But yeah, definitely recommend it. Be a part of your political process in your town, in your county, in your city, in your congressional district, your assembly district. Because if you're not, guess what? Somebody else is. And maybe their beliefs and thoughts are totally different than yours. And the way New York is, they will just have say over how you live your life,
Yeah.
basically.
Now, political positions go to those who show up, and if you're not even in the game, how are you gonna have an influence over the policy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, that kind of breaks into us kind of highlighting what today's topics are going to be. We have a handful of them that we're going to discuss today, and most of them are, well, at least one of them is the state deciding for you how you're going to run your life. And if you're not involved in the political process, you're allowing these people to start making those decisions for you. So I'll just give you guys like a brief highlight of what we're going to talk about today. The first one you've seen in the title of the show if you're on the live stream. and that is state lawmakers want to start sex education in kindergarten.
Yep. So there's a new bill for that, and so we're definitely going to talk about that. Like, what's the appropriate role of government and mandates in this situation? Plus, we have a few things on STD treatment
Yep.
and
And some vaccine
and
bills.
vaccine bills. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about both of those. So I'm looking forward to the comments on that. Those discussions are always fun.
Yep,
Love you guys.
absolutely. Yep. So before we go to break here, I just want to let you guys know you can be a part of this discussion. I hope that you are. You can call into the station 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. Or jump on the live stream on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Just search Andrew C. Hollister. You'll see the live stream going on. Post your comment. These are conversations that we're definitely going to have, and I want your input. Like, are you okay with the state telling you when your child is going to get sex education and what that sex education is going to look like? So we're going to take our break here on Radio Free New York. When we come back, we'll start off by talking about sex education starting in kindergarten. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whenever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we're better together, and together, we're moving business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today.
Tom Walls started in 1955. Since then, America has been through wars, natural disasters, and economic highs and lows. Rochester companies have had their ups and downs, but one constant, Tom Walls. Tom Walls has stood the test of time. A Wahlburger and a frosted mug of root beer on a sunny afternoon brings us closer to our past and reminds us of what is good. My name is Riley. I am Tom Walls.
Share the good times. Tom Walls.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We've got Kevin Wilson here as well.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
And today is Fake News Friday. So at the end of the show, we will go over some news articles, some headlines. You guys get to decide, well, you guys get to guess whether or not they are fake news or not. I know I've got a couple. Kevin's probably got a few. I do want to give you guys a shout out. Those of you on the live stream, I see some of you guys in here. Dan, Kirk, Douglas, welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for commenting. And Kirk actually brings up a good comment. He says, there's no good reason for public education to go any further than offering the tools to communication and information gatherers. And I think what he's saying there is where public education is continuing to go and continuing to kind of creep into in New York State is beyond education at this point. They're starting to put health mandates in education. And my opinion, and Kevin, I don't know if you share this opinion or not, is that education, especially public education, has really gotten off track from preparing people for success in life and much more focused on just checking a box, trying to pass a standardized test with no true focus on like things like balancing a checkbook. How does interest work? Like that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. Like, education's, again, it's more about like checking off those boxes as standardized tests. And, we have a federal bureaucracy, a state bureaucracy, and local interest that kind of combine to push kids into this education system that no longer makes sense for the modern economy. It's not like teaching kids how to learn anymore. It's, again, making sure they can repeat this information that the state has deemed important. And I think we've really gotten very off track about how we prepare kids for success.
Yeah, yeah, and we actually had a caller call in over the break, who he didn't want to come on air, but he mentioned the Department of Education in the state doesn't really answer to the voters. It's an appointed body, and I think that's important to bring up because there has been a push in Rochester for the state to take over the education process in Rochester.
Yeah.
And right now the school board is technically elected. There's some serious issues there.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to spend a whole other show on what they're doing with pre-K right now too, and
yeah, for
but-
sure.
But yeah, I mean, person who called in is right. Like technically you could say like, oh, they're kind of accountable to like the governor, but it's one of those things where it's so far afield from where the voters actually are that like they're not really accountable to what's going on in your home school district.
Yeah, yeah. And I always like to bring up the point too, like, what does somebody in Albany know about the education needs of a child in Rochester or in
Yeah.
Buffalo or in Allegheny County or in North Country? Like somebody who's literally 300 or 400 miles away. What do they know about the education needs of your child? And the truth is they don't. I
Yep.
mean, it's pretty simple and straightforward. The parent knows and the teacher knows. That's about it.
Yeah.
And so that brings up the topic of sex education for kindergartners.
Yeah.
So,
So-
I'll let you just take
No,
this away, Kevin.
so it's interesting. This caught my attention because actually a Democratic mayor, Lovely Warren, up in Rochester, she kind of came out against this and thought it was inappropriate for the state to be interfering in having discussions about sex education or STDs and things like that. And she felt strongly that it's her responsibility as a parent to deal with this. And she said, quote, it would be unconscionable for a healthcare practitioner to administer an STD vaccine to my 9-year-old daughter without my consent. And then she also talked about sex education in the same way. And so what this bill does, and just if you want to be able to look it up, there's an assembly bill for it. And we'll post a link to this too. I'll post this in the stream in just a second. But it's Assembly Bill 806512. And what it says is it requires a comprehensive sexuality instruction for students in grades K through 12, which addresses age and developmentally appropriate physical, mental, emotional, and social dimensions of human sexuality and reflects the national sexuality education standards.
Yeah, and so it's pretty interesting because the organization that's, I don't want to say pushing the national sexuality education standards, say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
They kind of gave some bullet points to the media, things that they said were pretty important. They said identifying different family structures.
Yeah.
They said friendships and healthy ways to express feelings. Learn all people have the right to not be touched.
Yeah.
I actually think that one we probably all agree with. And use the proper names for body parts.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because they kind of, I feel like, picked the headline items that most people would agree with, but they've totally left out, and I say most people, maybe that first one is kind of questionable, especially in conservative circles.
Yeah.
Um, but what they really left out is taking away family discretion,
Yeah.
taking away like um, parental, like religious beliefs. Like there's a lot of stuff in here that this essentially takes away from families, and that's actually something that Mayor Warren brought up. And it's
Yeah.
like I I don't say I disagree with her all the time, but there's a lot of issues I disagree with her on. But I agree with her on this 100%.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna like sort of disagree.
Okay,
And
great.
here's what
Bring
it
it
is.
on.
I kind of I definitely disagree with the mandate, right? I don't like the government mandating and saying like this is how you have to teach sex education because I do think that takes away some rights from parents. That being said, the points that the groups that are pushing this actually make a lot of sense. Like I used to work in a child care center actually, and part of uh, I wasn't working in childcare, but I was working like marketing and fundraising. But like we did go through like how to identify child abuse stuff, and then one of the important parts of this is they're right. Like teaching kids what appropriate boundaries are is incredibly important. And that's what like it's not sex education for kindergarten in the same way that you'd teach sex education to 15, 16 year olds. It's sex education in the sense that like you need to teach kids like when is it okay to tell an adult like no you can't like touch me in that way, I'm uncomfortable with this is my personal space. And then also being able to accurately describe the body parts too is important because some kids literally don't have the vocabulary to be able to say that's like someone touched them inappropriately, like they don't understand like what the word penis or vagina is. Like they need to be able to describe that accurately, a 5 or 6 year old, if that is happening to them. That's a tough subject to cover. And the thing is, a lot of parents either don't know how to approach that situation with their kids or don't want to, they're uncomfortable with it. So it kind of leaves their children more vulnerable to abuse. So I understand from that perspective why people are advocating for this. Again, I don't like the mandate, but like the actual philosophy behind why people are pushing to teach kindergartners and first graders personal space, personal autonomy, and anatomy is actually pretty well founded.
So do you think this is something that should be done in the education system, though?
See, that's what I don't know about.
And that's I guess where I'm coming from. That I was actually surprised that Mayor Warren said, like this is a family issue. This is not the role of education. This is like taking this away from families and parents, which many people would say, especially in the Rochester City School District, that parents are so detached from their child's education and so not involved with it. That's why we have this like cultural problem in the school district.
Yeah.
So now the government's like just taking away one more piece of parenting, which means these kids are getting like no reinforcement of anything at home.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I do want to acknowledge the comments too. Chase had said that sex education needs to be left to parents. I learned nothing from sex ed. Periods, that's another thing. I do believe periods should be discussed to girls, but not sex. Although she did say teaching consent is important, and that.
Yeah, and I agree. Like teaching consent, I think is very important. I would be open to the idea of a volunteer health organization coming up with these things and offering it to parents. A
Yeah.
non-governmental agency saying like, "Hey, like this is the National Sexuality Education Standards. Like I
Yeah.
love standards. I don't like mandates. Like here's how you can incorporate this with your children." And there are going to
Yeah.
be parents and groups that say, "This is really important. We should do this." And the kids will talk amongst themselves.
And so the challenge becomes, and again, this is making a devil's advocate argument, is that what if it's a situation where again a kid's being abused by their own parents and they don't have the language to describe what's happening to them, right? And that's where you get those tricky situations. Like I want kids to be able to have the language to be able to do that, and if they're not learning that from their family, again, who's going to teach them that? And should that fall into schools? Is that an appropriate realm for that type of discussion?
Yeah, and that's I think that's the question is like where does it fall? Does it fall on the medical provider who's maybe the child's not being brought there, but then also there's children that don't get taken to school.
Yeah, no.
So
No, and again, how much do you want the government to interfere? Like, I think your general point of like, hey, the schools keep kind of taking on more and more of that like parenting responsibility So where does it stop? Like, and can we shift the culture back to the parents as the number one, provider of this information and teaching about like important life skills?
Yeah. How do we make that breakthrough in the culture that we're experiencing and a government takes care of everything situation that we're in?
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about this new vaccine bill, this new STD bill that kind of falls along a similar discussion here of the state kind of taking away parents' say and choice, but shifting it to the child, which is pretty interesting. So we'll talk about that when we come back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Now, more than twice the power.
WYSL.
More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. Areas of lake effect snow, a bit of blowing snow out there. Could be a couple of inches north of the Thruway, a bit more near the lakeshore into Wayne County. Just flurries south. Temps tonight in the teens. Again, that wind chill near zero. On Saturday, passing areas of lake effect snow, some light additional accumulations with temperatures in the 20s. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
It's here, the biggest President's Day event in town. And it's all at Patrick Buick GMC. Everybody's picking Patrick, your exclusive truck and SUV dealer. Choose from all kinds of GMC Sierras, Yukons, Acadias, and Terrains. And now the all-new Buick Encore GX, plus Envisions and Enclaves. If you want an SUV or truck, Patrick has access to over 1,000 of them. Here's more reasons why everybody's picking Patrick. 35 years in business, over 3,000 five-star online reviews. And we just increased our rebates, added auto show bonus cash, and lowered our lease payments. See everything at PatrickBuickGMC.com. It's our annual President's Day event. It's all over March 2nd. Patrick, we are professional grade. Corner of Lehigh Station and West Henrietta Road. Don't miss Patrick's President's Day event and see why everybody's picking Patrick. Patrick Buick GMC in Henrietta.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Men and women 50 or older, colorectal cancer screening can save your life. That's why the main streets of Livingston County villages will go blue during March, Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Most health insurance plans, including Medicare, pay for screening. If you're uninsured, you can get free screening. Call 877-803-8070. Don't miss the Main Street Goes Blue kickoff March 2nd, 6 p.m. at Lima Public Library. From the Livingston County Health Department, Town of Lima, and U of R Medical Center.
Hi, I'm Dr. Pat Brophy from UR Medicine, Golisano Children's Hospital. What does it mean for a child to reach their fullest potential? It means an athlete making the varsity team, when doctors once thought she'd never be able to walk. It means a little boy playing at the playground after spending the first year of his life in the hospital. At Golisano Children's Hospital, we want to give every child the chance to be a kid. But we need your help to do that, so please, donate today.
Ah,
those moments in life when things are just a little too close.
Like the time you tried to pet your neighbor's angry dog. Uh-oh, down boy.
Let's face it, sometimes close is too close. Unless we're talking about the closest gaming action around at nearby Finger Lakes Gaming and Racetrack. With over 1,100 gaming machines, thoroughbred racing, a delicious buffet, and live entertainment, the action at Finger Lakes is always close by. Visit us on Route 96 Farmington and FingerLakesGaming.com. Must be 18 to play video gaming machines.
A healthy smile has health benefits beyond just teeth. It's whole body wellness. Don't live with broken, missing, or failing teeth. Lakeview Dental can restore your smile with state-of-the-art dental care. Their approach is providing reliable, comfortable solutions for the long term. Eliminate those endless visits to deal with recurring problems with your teeth. Address your dental concerns once and for all. Find out more at livoniasmiles.com or call 346-3028. Lakeview Dental, for the smile of a healthier you.
Mary Cariola Center is currently hiring. Direct support professionals, teacher aides, nurses, teacher and clinical positions are available. Cariola's Grow Her Own program offers the opportunity to develop and advance your career through scholarships or tuition discounts for certification and degree programs at area colleges, all while you work and continue to earn a paycheck. Simply put, we pay for you to grow with us. Apply today at marycariola.org/employment or visit Cariola Careers on Facebook.
This is your home for exciting local college basketball all season long on WISL. Saturday afternoon, it's the final UAA doubleheader of the season for the University of Rochester Yellow Jackets as they host the Emory Eagles at the Louis Alexander Palestra. The U of R women's team looks to finish the year with a winning record at 12 noon. And then the Yellow Jacket men's squad hopes to keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive in a must-win game against Emory at 2. Right here on your home for the best local college sports coverage in Rochester. WISL.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We've got Kevin Wilson here in studio.
Hello.
And we're going to shift the discussion to the next topic.
Yeah,
which
I mean, related.
It's very much related, very much along the same lines. We're talking about STD treatment and vaccines as well, because there's a bill proposed for each of those.
Yes. So Assembly Bill A973A provides treatment for sexually transmitted diseases to minors without a parent or guardian's consent.
And I do want to highlight in this bill that there's two things that stood out to me. The first is they changed some of the language as to who can do this treatment, and I couldn't figure out if that truly changed things or if it was just an update in the language.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused about that too, because I was reading the actual text of the bill, and what it seems like is that the previous iteration of this said that anyone under 21 years of age could get treatment, and they changed it to anyone under the age of 18 could get treatment without permission of parents and guardians. So I don't know if that actually changed it, but...
Yeah, well, the other thing that was interesting to me is they took out the term licensed physician, in-hospital, or staff physician and replaced it with healthcare practitioner. Right. So if you're listening to the show right now and you know and understand what that difference is, I tried to find it. I couldn't find a definition. So I don't know if this expands who can provide STD treatment. I don't know if it tightens up who can provide STD treatment. Or I don't know if healthcare practitioner is just shorter and it means the same thing. I couldn't find it.
Yeah. I mean, it might be broader, including nurses and
could
physician's assistant. I don't really know. So
yeah.
some doctor, please save me.
Yeah, absolutely. Call into the show, comment, please help us out. Yeah. But what this bill does is it says anybody under the age of 18 can now receive treatment without parent or guardian consent.
Yeah.
So that begs the question, at what point, and does the government get to choose? Because we did talk about age can be arbitrary, right? Yeah. This idea that at a certain age, you as an individual, all of a sudden magically are an adult. You now have all the knowledge in the world to make the decisions for your health and well-being versus, your parent or guardian who's supposed to be there to guide you along the way till you're ready. some people are ready at 16, some people are ready at 18, some people
Yeah.
is closer to 40. you know.
Yeah, and it's a tough discussion, right? Because like you may have like a 16-year-old who like understands like that they have gotten themselves in this situation. They're worried that their parents may not take them to the doctor to get this treatment or may not consent to that treatment. And medically, the best decision they could make is to go to a doctor on their own and try to seek treatment. So like, is it a violation of the parents' rights then for the government to interfere with their decision making ability on how their child gets medical treatment? And I know like a lot of people feel very passionately about it. Like when you even bring up this discussion, I know a lot of people get upset when you're parents. You're like, of course, I as a parent should be making my medical decisions for my child.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think the vast majority of parents um, believe that they should be in charge of their child's medical decisions, and that this probably tramples on their rights as a parent to care for their child and help them make decisions that they deem are in their child's best interest. I think that this is kind of a problem, and the problem being that the state and the government has too many different rules about age of consent. Because this is
Yeah.
basically what this is, right? This is
part of it, yeah.
age of choice, age of consent, um, saying that your guardian and your parent no longer has say to what you put in your body. You now get that choice.
Yeah.
But how do we determine if you can properly make that decision?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like when you old enough to like make a decision about like your own medical health. Well,
Yep. Oh,
sorry. No, I wasn't asking you that, Google.
yeah, Google's,
Get outta
Google's
here.
listening to the conversation. Google's on board with this here. No,
Ooh.
but this is, this
in a
is
static box.
yeah. So at what age, And I think the answer is for every person, it's different.
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, Kirk makes a good point. He had commented during the break that government keeps on creeping their overall parental authority and judgment. Government has gained way too much jurisdiction, and this will turn around to bite us all. In a lot of ways, Kirk, I agree with you, man. Like I think that the government is trying to make a lot of decisions, and many of which are inappropriate or they're ham-fisted solutions that like don't really work for all families. And you have a right to the conscious to be able to make your own choice. And the conflict comes into play is like, what if the choices that you are making like actively harm children? Like in some of those in some of these situations, right? Like, are you? And it gets morally tricky when
it goes both ways too,
Right.
right? Because you could give the same argument the other way. You could say the child making the choice is better for the child because the child maybe understands their
Yeah.
health and maybe they are knowledgeable. But on the other
Or
side,
maybe
you
they
could
don't.
say maybe they don't. They have no
Because
idea.
maybe a 14-year-old really doesn't know everything.
Yeah,
It's
like-
surprising. I was pretty sure I knew everything at 14. Turns out I may have been wrong about that. The jury's still out, but we'll
find
see.
And this ties right into this vaccine bill as well.
Yeah.
The vaccine bill will essentially allow children, I believe, age 14 and older, to make their own decisions about treatment and receiving vaccines.
Yes.
Um,
So I'll read it. It's Senate Bill S4244C, and it permits any child who is at least 14 years of age to have administered to himself or herself certain immunizations required or recommended by law. So I mean, the discussion that seems to pop up around this is particularly the HPV vaccine, and so some parents have concerns about the effects of the HPV vaccine or its necessity, since it's more or less considered a sexually transmitted disease. So some parents are questioning whether or not it makes sense for 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds to get this thing. And then again, does a child have the capacity and the individual autonomy to be able to say, yeah, I've done the research and the doctors say I should get this, so therefore I'm going to get it, even when the parent's saying no.
Yeah. Yep. So I think that we as society and Democrats in New York, here's looking to you because you guys are writing all these laws and passing this stuff. This stuff hasn't passed yet, but it's being proposed. We need to be consistent. I think that is one of the biggest issues here. So we have a different age where we allow people to drive, a different age that we allow people to drink, to smoke, purchase firearms, have sex, be in control of their debt, work, live alone,
it's all
move out
different.
from their parents. Now we're talking about where different levels of treatment. You're going to have different ages where you're allowed to make that consent, to make those, we'll call 'em adult decisions that could truly negatively or positively impact your health and well-being for the rest of your life. Can we choose a number? Can we just choose one? I mean,
like I even know, like I have no idea if that's a good idea, right? Like if it makes more sense to have people wait longer for consuming drugs as compared to being able to get a vaccination, right? Like that's
isn't that a drug? A
Uh,
vaccine?
sort
Well,
of.
actually, it's a
Yeah.
biological element. It sounds maybe even scarier than a plant.
Yeah.
But
So I mean, but that's again, it's a tough discussion, and I think again, I'm really sympathetic to the fact that New York State, in particular, tries to micromanage like what decisions are best for the health and wellness of our family, and I do not like that because again, sometimes those decisions are not good. Sometimes the state can mandate a decision that is actually bad for people, and what we end up with is you're kind of either denied access to certain services or sometimes subject to violence for not obeying the state in your medical decisions. And I don't think I need to explain to this audience why that's an enormous problem.
yeah, no, absolutely. So I think we need some consistency. Like I'm a small limited government guy, which you guys all know. So I err on the side of like what's most freedom for the individual, what gives the individual the most choice. I do recognize that decisions are made jointly between a child and a parent up until some point, but I don't know what that point is. I don't know if society should be determining that point.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of these things, the government has stepped in and said, you will be at this arbitrary age for this thing. Is really inconsistent.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I would kind of default in most situations, maybe not all situations, but in most situations, a parent knows a child well enough to know when they're mature enough to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
And, this kind of changes that dynamic a little bit. Maybe a little bit, and maybe it's not even necessarily a bad thing, but it changes that dynamic just a little bit more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. When we come back, we're going to do our Fake News Friday segment. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Human trafficking is when someone is being forced, tricked, or coerced to engage in a sex trade or forced labor. If you're a kid and forced to sell sex, drugs, or work against your will, that's trafficking. You're not a criminal, and there is help available. Call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888 or text Be Free. Sponsored by the Livingston County Safe Harbors Human Trafficking Task Force.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, it is Fake News Friday. That's normally Bob's line.
It is.
So Bob's not
Fake
here.
News Friday.
Yeah, Bob
And
is...
we're trying to look like anchors right now.
Yeah,
Just
there
at
we
our
go.
desks. And we got to get the proper desk for this eventually.
Yep.
But yes, welcome to Fake News Friday. And I do want to give a shout out to, again, the people who are listening and commenting on shows. Nico in there, good afternoon. And Drew, who said good afternoon, y'all. Good afternoon to both of you.
Yeah, welcome to Radio Free New York. So Fake News Friday, if this is your first time joining us, is when we read you some news headlines, and you guys get to try to figure out whether or not it's real or fake news. So, Kevin, you got one?
I do have one. All right.
Kevin's smiling over here for those of you listening on the radio.
I love this one because I only found it a few minutes ago and I was researching between the break, and forget my other items. Like this is where it's at. Are Americans afraid to buy Corona beer because they think it's associated with the coronavirus?
Oh, I have a pretty strong opinion about this. I'm gonna let you guys as listeners think about it for about 2 seconds here. I'm gonna say that this is actually true. As sad as I feel saying this, I think that yes, Americans are probably afraid of buying Coronas because it's coronavirus, and I would be willing to bet there's statistics that prove that Budweiser and some of those other beer companies are seeing a slight increase in sales right now.
Probably. Well, certainly Constellation Brands, which is actually owned locally, has seen a dip in their stock recently because of this. And according to 5W Public Relations, 38% of beer drinking Americans would not buy Corona under any circumstances now. Because of this.
38%.
So among those who would normally drink Corona, only 4% said they would stop drinking Corona, but 14% said they wouldn't order one in a public venue, consider it insensitive, and 16% of beer-drinking Americans were confused about whether Corona beer is related to the coronavirus. Corona also recently had a tweet earlier this week that said that it was washing ashore soon. They're announcing their new seltzer brand, and people were roasting them on Twitter, apparently, because this is in poor taste. Why would you say that about Corona right now? That's there's some truth to that. It's one of those things, like it's not everyone, but there is some dip in sales. Yeah,
that's not like
no
one.
Yeah, I was trying to read that. I was like, is that 38% like they would never drink one anyway, or is that 38% who are now saying like, no, because of the coronavirus, I won't do this? But there's at least a set of people who are saying like, oh no, this might be related to the coronavirus, so I don't want to touch the stuff anymore.
All right. You guys ready for mine? Mine's a short one.
All right.
Most of you are probably going to get this. We're 150 million Americans killed by gun violence since 2007. Brought to you by presidential candidate Joe Biden.
Oh, good old Uncle Joe. Well, Uncle Joe wouldn't lie to us, right?
I'm kind of thinking that he should know. I'll start with that.
Was half of the American population killed by gun violence in the last 13 years? I'm going to say no to that one. No, that's not true.
That's fake news. You would know if that happened. Let's just put it that way. The number is off by, I think, is 91% or something like that.
Yeah.
It's
possibly
abysmally
more
wrong.
than that. It was pretty bad.
Yep.
You
Okay.
ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's take the next one.
So I got another one. This will be quick. Did The Simpsons predict the coronavirus? Was this one another Simpsons prediction event? Was there a 1993 episode where they predicted the coronavirus by both name and circumstance?
Ooh, name and circumstance. That's kind of like up in the ante there.
Yeah.
The Simpsons is pretty good at predicting things. So I'm gonna say yes. The Simpsons predicted coronavirus. I mean, Lysol had it on the back of the can,
Yeah,
right?
it's true,
Last
yeah.
week we found out Lysol had coronavirus on the back of the can before coronavirus was a thing. So
Yeah, no, it's mostly fake. So like there was an episode like where they're taking images from two different episodes. One is like where these Japanese factory workers are coughing into a box. That one's called Osaka flu. So they are Japanese, not Chinese. And then there's another episode where there's a news thing about the house cat flu. It didn't say coronavirus. That was photoshopped in. So Simpsons didn't predict this one.
But were they drinking Corona?
You know what? I don't know.
So
hey,
maybe the cat had a Corona.
the conspiracy goes deeper.
It
All right,
goes deeper.
We'll investigate.
Yep, could be. All right. This one is a little bit older, but I see it recirculating online, which is, so I figured I'd bring it up. We might have even brought this one up before. I couldn't remember.
All right.
Did Pelosi raid the Social Security Fund for the impeachment inquiry to fund it?
Oh, I've seen this one around. Yeah, I don't think we did this one.
Well, if you don't know, I'm glad, because
Yeah.
that means this is a good one.
I'm gonna say it's probably fake. It sounds like clickbaity. So my instincts tell me this ain't real. But
So, it is fake news.
yeah.
And the initial article that came out suggesting that this was true was actually on a satire site similar to The Onion. So it
wasn't okay. It wasn't like a Babylon Bee or anything.
No, it was like a lesser known one, but clearly, like when you went to their website, it was pretty clear that the site was satire. So this is a case of somebody seeing a headline that gets them so angry they started sharing it as truth. More and more people shared it as truth, especially in some like super pro-Trump groups on Facebook. People just accept it as true without checking it out, and it just kind of spread like wildfire. Social Security funds are actually considered mandatory spending. They're not subject to the appropriations process, so it was not even like possible.
They've done some weird things. Like I could see how like there's some truthiness to it. Like the federal government has done like some weird things where they've like shifted funds around and like sort of like borrowed from that fund and things like that. You just got to fact check it. There's plenty of terrible stuff to say about Nancy Pelosi. Like, just stick to the real things.
Stick to the things that are true.
Yeah. So just try to think about that a bit. All right. I think we probably have time for one more.
Yeah,
right?
I'm out. So if you got more,
good.
let's go.
No, I do have one more. So did Bloomberg editorial board endorse Michael Bloomberg?
The Bloomberg editorial board did they endorse him?
Did they endorse Michael Bloomberg? The accusation is that they did do that. That's the headline I'm reading. Bloomberg editorial board endorses Mike Bloomberg. Is that real news or is that fake news?
Oh man, you know what? That's a good question. I feel like, let me ask you this question first, if you know, because I don't actually know. Does he hold any power in this corporation still?
Yeah,
he does. Okay.
They claim that they are like neutral though, that they're not going to give him favorable coverage. That's so anything that would come out about him would be presumably value neutral.
Okay, so
Allegedly.
I'm gonna say I think this. Why not? Sure, they gave it to him. I'd say so. Sure.
All right.
I know nothing about them, so I'm just
All
like
right.
shooting from the hip here.
Well, let me read you the sub headline here. He's a kind soul, a fantastic human being, and definitely not a robot.
Is that a shot at Hillary? I think that's a shot at Hillary.
Yeah. No, this is it's from the Babylon Bee actually. Yeah. So sorry. No, it could be.
It was a great article. Like, I love the Babylon Bee.
Yeah. No, I read that one. Was like, Actually, wait, is this real? And the double check. Oh no, it's from Babylon Bee. Okay, yeah, no, it's not real. But like some of his accomplishments were like, eradicating soda drinking from the galaxy, planting an entire 400-acre cornfield with his bare hands. Winning World War
I
I.
had heard that one, sure, that would give it away. But I think he's probably not a robot. But maybe. I'm not so sure.
That may or may not be.
May or may not be true.
Yeah.
So that's fake news. There's still time though. They could change them, Brian's.
No,
they could endorse them. There's plenty of time. A lot of time between now and then. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on Fake News Friday. I want to just leave you guys with this. Please go out and petition for the candidates you want on the ballot. It's so important. There's 5 weeks, I think, to get this done. Get out there, get your candidates out there, and participate in the electoral process. Thank you for watching Radio Free New York and listening if you're on the radio. Yeah. We'll be back Monday, same time, same place.